Welcome to America's Top Rebbitzins. In the merit of this class, may Hashem watch over all the Jewish people and give enormous strength to the IDF soldiers, including Mior ben Livnat, Moriah or Bat Sandra, Michal ben Rachel, and Mor ben Linda. Please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to us on the America's Top Rebbitzins YouTube page, or click follow to follow us on your podcasting app so that you are the first to know when an inspiring new episode is posted. Today, I am so happy to welcome Dr. Miriam Adahan. Dr. Adahan is a psychologist, therapist, popular author, and founder of EMETT, EMETT. That stands for Emotional Maturity Established Through Torah, which is a network of self-help groups dedicated to personal growth. Her approach to human emotions has revolutionized the way that the Jewish world approaches psychology. Dr. Adahan has over 60 years of experience in counseling, lecturing, and writing. She has written over 15 books, including Living with Difficult People, Raising Children to Care, It's All a Gift, Nobody's Perfect, and Raising Spiritual Champs, including yourself. It is such an honor to have you on my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Well, as a therapist, I deal with abuse and recovery from abuse because people come to therapy because they've been abused
Yes.
or they're have non-nurturing, I don't want to say about, like narcissistic parents or abusive parents, but just say non-nurturing parents, and they're suffering from the effects of a childhood of neglect, criticism, beatings, whatever, okay? Or they're married to somebody who is incapable, what I call the non-nurturing spouse. And that's the major reason people come to therapy. They're suffering from abuse and they don't know what to do. They blame themselves, usually victims of abuse, blame themselves. And the burden of fixing the abuser is always on the victim,
Yes.
which is very, very tragic. Okay, so I'm here to help people recognize what abuse is, to notice the signs, to know the effect of abuse on them. See, I have my 150 here. That means every day I put this is from the Mishpacha magazine, this idea
Oh, wow.
of
Okay.
putting on each day how long the hostages have been in Gaza. And I just put I change it every day. By the time so basically when a person's been abused, it's like they have been trapped in a tunnel and brainwashed and abused and hurt and in every possible way. So people tend to be ashamed that that's what they went through.
Right.
But now, because of the hostages and the people coming out, Baruch Hashem, so after 50 days, some of them got out. And these people are talking about what it was like to be 50 days in the hands of people who were scary, psychologically scary, beating or shooting at them, whatever. But that's 50 days. A lot of children are brought up in homes where there is a lot of criticism, humiliation. It's like being shot at.
Right.
Living with a critical parent, a critical person is guilty of two sins, according to the Torah. It's theft of their sense of safety and security and self-worth, and murder of their sense of being a holy, worthwhile human being.
Wow.
So it's theft and murder, and you're living with that, not for 50 days, not even for 150 days, but you're living year after year after year and what that does. So number one, I want people to recognize what abuse is, recognize the effect of abuse, and stop wasting time and money with what I call hope dope.
What's hope?
That's hope dope is what everybody wants to give, what all the advisors and most of the therapists want to give people. You can change the non-nurturing person and make them into a nurturer. That's like promising somebody that you can take artificial flowers and make them real.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Right. Tons and tons of money
Yes,
just go down the drain. Years. I've had people in therapy 30, 40, 50 years
I believe
with a
it.
non-nurturing spouse or themselves, hoping. That's why I call it hope dope, because it's like what people you can change them. Just hang in there. They'll get better. Be a better cheerleader. Respect them more. Have more date nights. Be more submissive. Be more respectful. Do what they want. Keep the house clean. Lose weight. And people are just waiting and waiting and waiting, and they waste their lives. And they tell me, I wasted 40 years waiting for him or her to change.
Right.
So I want to get here. So if you have a non-nurturing, I'm not calling it a name. I'm not calling a narcissist or sociopath or psychopath. If you have a non-nurturing spouse or you come from non-nurturing parents, um, there are very specific signs of having gone through this. And um, and your job is to get rid of the hope dope, get your focus off that person and start making a life for yourself. Because we're trained, if we have non-nurturing parents, we're trained to want a sense of worth from the very people who caused us to feel worthless.
That's
We
the
keep going
irony of the
back and back.
situation.
It is
Yes.
so ironic. It's just so sad.
Well, we're,
Right.
we're really going to get into it today. We're really going to help people here. We're going to dive
Okay.
really deep, and we're gonna really just go deep right now because I know that you started a group called SODA, SODA,
Yes.
Survivors of Domestic Abuse, SODA. And this group is meant to empower both male and female survivors of domestic abuse. And you teach people to love and value themselves, which I think is so important. So, can you please tell us more about the group and share with us some of the domestic abuse survival tools and the survival tools that you really teach the people that you work with?
So I wish there was a group. There isn't. Most people are too ashamed. The victim of abuse is very ashamed of being abused.
Yes.
They feel that they should have done something different. They all blame themselves. They all feel I'm not good enough, and that's why it happened.
Right.
So, although it's a very informal group, I want people to know that survivors of domestic abuse, of which I am one, um, it just once we know it, we can support each other. So
Okay.
it's very informal. But I have written 5 books on abuse and how to overcome it. And that's what I do. The major problem is the sense of we're hypnotized into thinking I'm not good enough because kids have to make abuse, they have to understand it. So you imagine a 2 or 3 year old that's being left from 7 in the morning till 7 at night and gone
Right.
by the Metapellet, rarely sees the parents.
Or daycare situations or with a
Daycare,
babysitter.
that's
Yes.
the way it is. I mean, um, the child tries to make sense of it and always will blame himself.
Of course, for sure. Yes.
Okay. I'm not worth being cared for. I'm not worth being seen. Now, what every normal human being wants is to be seen, to have somebody mirror their emotions, to validate. Babies need huge amounts of time just being cuddled and soothed and caressed. You know, if the mother has 2 weeks maternity leave, and I know mothers who have even less, who's going to do that?
Right.
And by the way, when a mother cuddles and nurses and caresses a child, looks in the child, the baby's eyes, mirrors his feelings, takes time to soothe, the body is producing all the happy neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine and endorphins and oxytocin. And if you don't get it when you're little, then you're going to go to a psychiatrist later on and get it in a bottle, like an SSRI, which raises the serotonin because you didn't get it as a baby.
It's so true. It's so interesting because I want to illustrate this point with a very, very short story because it really speaks to exactly what you said. So my son plays sports and he was playing at a sporting event, and I'm very, very affectionate with my kids. And so I went up to him and I gave him a hug and a kiss. Totally normal for me. It was normal for me. It was normal for him to receive it. And somebody looked at me and I said, they just looked at me and they're like, "You're an excellent mother." And I just looked at them and
Oh,
they said, "My mother never hugged me and kissed me." It was the biggest shock because what I did was normal. It was just whatever.
yeah,
Went up to my son, I hugged him and kissed him like a normal whatever. And this person like
good
looking
for
at
you.
me like
It's gotten to be
yes,
very strange to see
yes.
parents actually spending time hugging. Most of the people that come to me never got a hug or a kiss.
That's what he said. The person was looking at me. That's
Yeah,
what he said. And you have to
yeah.
understand my
Oh,
son, my son is 17. So it's not like he's a little 3-year-old.
good for
He's
you,
17.
but good for you. And he accepted it. Good.
He's
It's
you
really
yeah,
needed. And then very often when the kids, like they get to be teenagers, then it hits. They don't usually show it because they're too busy blaming themselves
right.
when they're 1, 2, 3 years old, trying
Right.
to figure out how come nobody cares about me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How come nobody spends time showing any interest in me? Like what I love, what sports I like, how am I doing in school? People that they never, not only did they never get a hug or a kiss, but they never had anybody sit down and talk to them, or they got lectured to. Either there's the hovering, overly involved, or there's, okay, this is so sad. And our society is like parents are so distracted. I'll go to thank God we have Shabbos. Okay.
Right.
So at least on Shabbos, you'll see parents that are not on their phone at the gun and the kid says, Ima, Ima, whatever, and the mother responds. But during the week,
It's very hard. I know. I know.
it's like, how do you switch your brain off and say, oh, there's a human being there that is and when I interact and show love and appreciation and smiling, that's going to be meaningful.
Yeah. And so like these people, so they come, so like you said, like they're growing up with nobody nurturing them, nobody validating them, nobody taking, yes, maybe they're taking physical care, but not emotional care. And then they grow up and they sometimes they even fall into marriages that mirror the way the parents
Absolutely.
treated them.
The word familiar and family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I am the ultimate of the spiritual, highly sensitive person, very emotional, craving love and affection.
Right, of
Okay.
course.
And
Yes.
because I didn't get it, that's what my brain was attracted to. Now, the non-nurturer, it's magnetic. Ross Rosenberg talks about the human magnet syndrome, that the one who craves affection will be attracted to the one who can't give it, because in our brain, it's like, love is something I have to run
Work
after,
for and
work
yes.
for,
Yeah.
prove, I have to get it, I have to. And then the non-nurturer is distant and keeps raising the bar, and you will never, ever be good enough.
So what can they do? What can people in this situation do? What are some survival tools that you teach some of the people that you work with? Like what can people do in this situation?
Ah, okay, good. First of all, people should know that we are hypnotized as children. We get hypnotized to think if we have non-nurturing parents, to see ourselves as inadequate and worthless. It's a hypnotic trance, the trance of unworthiness.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Many people will develop what's called a pseudo self. They'll try to, oh, I've got it all together. I don't need anybody. I'm independent. Very often that's okay. They'll be either avoidant or I don't need people. I've got it all together. They'll have that persona of I've got it all together, or they're very often very clingy and needy and desperate. There's a lot of signs. So, number one, if you're a soda, recognize it that you are a soda. Um, Very often it's the most highly sensitive child in the family who will also be the scapegoat.
True.
Like
Yes.
that child will be blamed. Oh, you're the cause of all the problems. If you didn't exist, the family would be better off. Um, So a lot of us took on roles, the black sheep, the punching bag,
Yep.
the golden child, the rescuer, the bully. We take on roles instead of just being human beings. Um, so some people take on the role of the dependent baby. I can't do anything. I can't manage life. I can't manage life. So what we have to do is accept our roles, accept that we took on these roles, accept that we were hypnotized into this trance of unworthiness. I had a woman, she's married 45 years. If her husband has never complimented her on her food. If she wants a compliment, she will tell her husband, my sister made this. And then he'll say, oh, it's delicious.
That is so sad. I can't even. I don't even have any words. That's really sad. Like that's pathetic also, but it's really sad.
And like they figure they're still pining, longing for their husband's love.
Of
And
course.
unfortunately, most therapists give people hope dope. If you just have more do this, more that, more, I don't know, then you'll go, there's rabbis, they'll say, well, if you do 40 days of this and 40 days of that or whatever, you'll get your husband to love you. And then there's all, people spend billions.
Yes.
Get the marriage you want. Have the marriage you want. And then, okay. And what happens is the person who can't get it feels like a failure. So
Right.
number one, stop feeling that you're a failure. If you didn't have nurturing parents, it's not your failure. Stop thinking it's your fault. You're not to blame.
That's a good
And
place
then,
to start
yeah,
because you really have to eradicate the blame before you can build on that. That's really the
that's
foundation
right.
of
I'm
it.
I'm not to blame. I was married to a person. It's like having somebody who's deaf and blind. It's a real handicap, a non-nurturing personality can't nurture. They can have moments of gestures of being nice. And very often they are like the grandiose narcissist or the communal narcissist that's out there saving everybody and helping the whole world. But the minute they come home, you get that sullen face or the icy silence or the constant criticism. It's very confusing to kids. Very, very confusing.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're not going to change it. What we have to do is help people accept. What I do is I practice radical acceptance. I have what I call my Dayenu prayer, which I will send. I think I sent it to you.
Yes. And
You'll
anybody who
send it
wants
to
it,
anybody who wants
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Just ask for my Dayenu. I was a very bitter person because I went through like 60 years of being bullied and abused and every kind of abuse possible. My first 60 years were very difficult. So then I decided that the next 60 years are going to be better.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
There's no toxic people around most of the time. Um uh when my kids were little, and I do it with my grandson. This is a little book my granddaughter wrote and illustrated when she was 9 years old.
How
I just
cute.
have it in my house. It's a beautifully illustrated book that she did because I would tell them, I don't get angry because I am the queen of solutions.
I love it. Okay. All right.
So I say, everybody say, I am the queen of solutions.
I
Or
am the queen of
if it,
solutions.
I am the queen of solutions, I don't get angry. I find solutions.
Yeah.
And if you're focused on finding solutions, you don't get angry. So number one, wanted to create an atmosphere in my home with my kids that would be safe. Safe means you're not having explosions. You are emotionally regulated. Um, and the EMETT gives you a lot of emotional regulation skills. Okay. I have a set of 39 emotional regulation skill cards that I used with myself and my kids. And I had it on the I had it on the wall in every room, my 39 cards. Like we needed 39 malachas to build the Mishkan. We need 39 of these ideas to keep us emotionally regulated. Now, I don't come from an emotionally regulated home and wasn't married to an emotionally regulated person. So I had to learn this and practice it and do it myself.
So, okay. So can I stop you because I have a very
Yeah.
interesting question. I don't want to
Yeah.
forget to ask you. That's why, and I apologize.
Okay. It's fine.
So you didn't come from the emotionally regulated home, and then you didn't marry an emotionally regulated person. Could you become emotionally regulated or create an emotionally regulated home if you're in a non-regulated environment? Like if you're, for example,
If
if
you're
you're
in, right.
still married to the non-regulated person or still living with non-regulated parents, like can you become regulated or can you create an environment for others? Like if you have kids and you're married to somebody who's non-regulated?
That is a great question. And I'm sorry that the answer really is no.
Okay. I
You
had to
can't.
ask it because I think people out there are also thinking of it. I figure if I'm
can't-
thinking, somebody else might have had that
you're-
question. So,
You can't. You
so
have to get out. But if you get out, it can be worse out than in,
right.
because then you have to send your kids half a week or whatever holidays to that emotionally dysregulated person who is probably talking trash about you
You have a valid point. Yes.
or smoking, whatever, watching things that you don't want your kids to be watching, or doing all the things that they were doing plus more to get back at you. Because there is something which 95% of people suffer from. It's called post-divorce abuse.
Honestly, I've never heard of it.
Right. So whatever they were doing before, they're going to be doing more of after, often to get back.
Okay.
Okay, they're very vindictive. So non-nurturing people are vindictive. They're mean. They're snot. They hard to live with. So actually, people who have to live in the situation will usually suffer from, first of all, they'll suffer from all kinds of physical ailments. Everybody I know that has a long-term marriage to a non-nurturer, they've all got autoimmune illnesses. They got fibromyalgia. I know 3 people whose children were kidnapped or they weren't allowed to see their kids after the divorce. All 3 got multiple sclerosis.
I believe it.
It's so traumatic what they do. And it's often so hidden and they look so great to the outside world.
Right.
These are the people who look amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're gregarious, they're charismatic, they're confident, they're the corporate whatever, they're popular, they're prestigious, they have money, they have influence, prestige, power.
But what can they do? Like, okay, so there's
So
two
number one,
different
you have
types.
to know you have to take
Yeah.
care of your physical health.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes.
that means you need to as much as possible, keep your immune system up if you have to stay. Keep your immune system strong, which means take your vitamin D, vitamin C, 5,000 D3 with K2 every day, because your immune system is going to be harmed.
Yes.
They know that the telomeres, if you're in a hostile situation, the telomeres get shortened. That decides your longevity.
Wait, what's a telomere? I'm so sorry. I don't know what it
Oh,
is.
it's part of the chromosomal section in the body. But
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
it's when your telomeres they shorten. They know even that babies, if a mother has to work for an explosive boss
Right.
or lives with an explosive husband, these kids have more ADHD.
Okay.
So, premature birth. I just had somebody who has a horrific boss and a woman, a horrific women abusive boss, and a number of women that work in that same office have had stillbirths or given birth early or miscarriages, and she's just this like a monster. Okay,
I'm so
so we
sorry.
have to know that we do suffer from certain physical ailments. There will be all these autoimmune backaches, neck aches, headaches, just physically, it's tense.
Right.
Okay. Because you never know when the next rocket is going to hit.
Right.
It's like the communities that were around Gaza.
Right.
They knew that every few months there would be a rocket attack.
Yeah.
Now, when the rockets were falling, of course, their anxiety level went up because you had 15 to 20 seconds to run to the shelter.
Yes.
Now, if you're in the bathroom or you're taking a shower or you're asleep or whatever, and you've got these 10 to 20 seconds, and now their anxiety level went up when the rockets weren't falling.
Right. Because they wasn't
Because
sure, are they going to fall? If they're going to fall, when they're going to fall? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what it's like living with a critical person. So it does affect you physically.
Physically.
You have to, I still have to take a lot of supplements to calm my nervous system.
That's helpful to know.
You're
Okay.
right. B vitamins, make sure you do not take anything with folic acid. You need B vitamins with folate. Look at the label, make sure it says folate and not folic.
Folate. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Folate, not folic. Folic, actually, that's vitamin B9. It's a synthetic form. It actually destroys your B vitamins, and you need your B vitamins for your nervous system, for your myelin sheath. So
Yes.
you take supplements. This is what I tell women who are in this situation or men who can't get out. Take your vitamins, take supplements. Know that is going to be some damage. You're not going to get out of this without some damage physically. So you take care of your physical health. I learned to eat at a certain time, more or less with the same. I developed Crohn's and colitis and a lot of physical ailments due to the abuse. So I have to eat certain food groups at certain time. I can't combine proteins with starches. Fruits have to be separate. Okay, so that calm my digestive system. I do things to calm my nervous system, like exercise and never touch sugar because it's a poison to the nervous system and to your immune system, both systems. So you strengthen your immune system, you strengthen your nervous system. That's on the physical level. I exercise for an hour a day, try to go for a walk in nature, hug trees, look at flowers, just let myself calm down. I do a lot of breathing exercises. Okay. Like finger breathing, where you take 2 little breaths in and then a longer breath out. Try it. And then switch to the middle finger, 2 little breaths in and a long breath out. And then the 4th finger, longer breath out, and the baby finger. Ah.
Like
This has to do with the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, and the heart. Lungs,
wow, it
liver, kidneys,
corresponds.
heart
Okay.
corresponds in China. And you can think of it as Yud K Vav K. Hashem is with me.
Okay.
Okay. So that's on the physical.
Yes.
I do a lot of bilateral tapping with people.
It's almost like a hug, like you're giving yourself a hug, sort of.
Exactly. No matter what anybody thinks of me, Hashem loves me. No matter what anybody thinks, Hashem loves me. Okay. So I do a lot of EFT, which if we have time, we'll do some EFT. So that's on the physical. The emotional is you stop going to those people or that person to get a sense of self-worth.
So that's difficult if you're living with them. It's easier if you're not living with them. I'm not going to say it's
Absolutely right.
easy, but it's
Right.
more
But no,
difficult.
most people can't get divorced. They won't.
Right.
Like I said, the post-divorce
Right. I know
abuse
that's not
can
a
be
picnic
worse.
either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're sending your kids to somebody who's going to beat them or show them all kinds of things you don't want them seeing. You have more control in than out.
Right. So okay.
Okay.
So how do you do this? So you're living with the person, if it's a
Right.
parent, if it's a spouse, whoever it is,
Right.
how
Try
do
to
you
disengage.
okay.
Disengage. I have a Shita that I call Nash Pash Kash.
Okay.
Nash is you learn to be nice and shallow. I'm a very polite, nice person. Okay. I don't respond in kind.
Okay.
I'm nice and shallow. I'm protective and shallow. And I am compassionate and shallow, very compassionate to myself and even the other person.
Okay.
And I have a whole 2 pages of responses when they lie, make accusations, accuse you, whatever. And I practice that with people all the time. He's going to say, there's nothing to eat. Your food. Oh, oh.
Right. Because you don't want to engage in escalate.
You
You
don't
don't
want
want
to get right. You don't want to go deep. You don't want to defend. E, don't want to excuse yourself, educate them, explain anything, or personalize. They're crippled. They're crippled. I'm not crippled. I'm okay.
right.
They're the crippled. They want me to feel like I'm crippled, that I can't do anything right. Okay. I'm ugly and stupid and crazy and can't do anything right. That's what they will let you, that's how they destroy your spirit. So on the emotional level, you have to keep telling yourself, okay, now usually people will start to suffer from emotion. They'll have anxiety, they'll have panic attacks, um, bipolar, uh, depression. They'll start, and then the psychiatrists will tell them, "Oh, you're crazy. You have all these physical illnesses. You have chronic fatigue. You have thyroid issues. You have autoimmune illness, and you're also anxious and despairing and anxiety ridden and having panic. So you're crazy."
Right.
They don't see the context. Context is everything.
Right.
Nobody will ever ask you, is there abuse going on? Are you living with a non-nurturer? Nobody asks that. They just say, well, you look crazy and you feel crazy.
Of course. But also something about a non-nurturer, and I just want to ask you if I'm on the right track with my thoughts. So yes, non-nurturer could be really criticizing, really mean, yelling all the time, hitting. But how about neglectful? Would that also
That's
be
even worse.
okay? Because when you say non-nurturer, that's the first thing I think of, like neglectful, like
Cold,
this cold. Right, right,
disconnected, disdainful, dismissive, like, get out of my way. You're just a burden.
right. Like no desire to pay attention, no, just nothing. Yeah.
No investment, no nothing.
Okay. So I just want to clarify for everybody. Okay.
Good.
So abuse comes in many forms. It could be that the abuse comes from a mother or a father, or it could be that your brothers and sisters bullied you.
Fine.
Abuse can even come from teachers at school or from members of your
Right.
community. So I want to bring up something interesting about abuse. Your abuser can quite often brainwash you into thinking that the abuse is normal. And they may even tell you that everybody else has these experiences. The constant screaming and yelling, the hitting, the insults, the bullying, even the neglect, like we were talking about. They say it's normal. And after a while, you might actually start to believe that, yeah, it's normal. And this is why I want to ask you about how to identify true abuse. So, can you please talk to us about how we can identify the true signs of abuse, both in our lives and in the lives of other people? Because I think it's also good to see it in other people. This way, two
Right.
things. If you see it in other people, you might be able to help them or just offer them guidance. And number two, other people sometimes mirror us. So sometimes if we see something in somebody else, we can recognize it more easily in
That's right.
ourselves.
That's right.
So I want to say, like, what should we look
Okay.
for? And how do we know
I
that
think
somebody's not just having a bad day? You
the
know?
major thing is chronic. In Hebrew, it's hashpala. Hashpala is shaming. Now,
Okay.
we should feel a little bit of shame if we've really done something horrible to some, if we've hurt somebody with malicious intent.
Yeah.
But excess shame is deadly. It just takes over the brain. So if somebody is on a regular basis explosive and they don't feel any shame and they hurt you or they're neglectful and they don't feel shame, you're dealing with an abuser. That's basically a Torah attitude.
Okay. And they don't feel any shame or remorse. They never apologize to you. They never say, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was thinking or what came over me." Or
Right. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu going to Korach saying, tell me what I can do. Are you aware of what you're doing? No shame. No shame there.
right.
When there's no shame, it is impossible to get the person to change. Shame is the first if they feel sorry for what they're doing. People say, he needs therapy, he needs to go to therapy, he has to go to a 12-step, or I have to get him help, I have to get him a pill, but if they don't see that something's wrong. Now, people with personality disorders, especially narcissism, don't think anything's wrong with them. They think everybody around them is to blame.
Right.
So if they're blaming other people for, and they don't take responsibility, then you're dealing with an abuser. Save your time and your energy. Please don't go to marital therapy. Don't share anything in therapy, because they'll be the most sweet, loving, nice, charming people in the office. And before you get to the car, they are smashing you. So there's two things. One is an abuser will always be a shamer.
Okay.
Or just totally disinterested. No, no, you'll never get a compliment. They'll never show any interest. They're not concerned with who you are, what you're doing, what's going on. So these are the signs.
But it's so frustrating. I'm taking in everything that you say. I totally agree with you, but I guess it's hitting a note in me that's so frustrating, especially like on the neglectful side. Like the abusive side is, I guess it's more obvious because
Right.
if
So,
somebody hits you, they hit you,
right.
it's
That's it.
obvious.
Right. Right.
But with the neglectful, it's kind of sneaky, It- you can't.
That one is hard.
It's very
Actually,
hard.
there's something called CE and children of emotional neglect. See, there's a lot of you can look on internet, CEN, children emotionally. It's actually more harmful and more difficult to recover from neglect than from beatings. Because the beating is like, you're here, I see you got a body and you're just a pest and a whatever. But the neglect, the absence of something is
Yeah.
very hard. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have they'll have an emotionally neglectful parent on one side, and then an explosive, dysregulated one on the other. Okay.
Oh,
So everybody has to become uh Malkat Apitronot, a Melech Apitronot. We have to grow up. Now, I've been trying to teach emotional regulation skills. Well, that's what I teach. This is a book. I would love this. They won't let me teach in any of the seminaries here. It's Raising Spiritual Champs, how to be an emotional regulated parent, even if you're in a difficult marriage.
how? That's the
So
question.
I have hundreds of ideas here. Um, and I have my 39, what I call my sanity cards. You can't see it there, but I have my 30, and you train the kids to to work on their mitos. So, there is what's called the dark triad. There's these people, they don't want me teaching this in the seminaries. They don't want girls developing awareness of child rearing skills before the kids come.
That's
Won't
when you
let me
should need
teach
to
in any
know
sem.
it.
That's what they should have. Maybe instead of a Navi class, they should. I have all these hundreds of ways to get kids to work on their mitos, to clean up the house, to be cooperative and whatever. I used to, when I was teaching, um, here it is. My kids, I'd walk around with a little squirt gun,
Oh, a little water gun. Yeah,
a little water gun.
yeah.
And then every once in a while, I would squirt the kids, and they had to say, "Thank you, chance to be a champ."
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted them to see everything that happens in the world, um, insults, frustrations, irritations, disappointments, disaster, whatever, accidents, okay, losses, whatever is happening. It's Hashem saying, now you have a chance to be a champ. This is what I teach women too, because the women, most of the people who are abused are codependents. They depend on other people for their sense of self-worth. And Hashem is saying, you are not going to get your sense of self-worth from anything outside yourself. It's going to come from working on your midot.
That's a hard concept to internalize. I'm just being honest.
So that's what I did to my kids. And so I would tell them, I bought from Amazon raffle tickets.
Oh, yes.
So I said, whenever we get to 50 times in Hebrew, Todah, hizdamnut lahitgabrut. Thank you, a chance to be a champ. Work on my meals. Tell me which meal you're working on. I said, when we get to 50, I'll order pizza because I'm a health food nut and I didn't order a lot of pizza. Okay. But I said, I will order pizza when we get to 50. And I'd put so I'd go around and it's got so internalized in them from a very early age. Okay, there's somebody is even if there's an older brother or sister or a parent who's being explosive, they're thinking it's a chance for me to be a champ. Now, narcissists are not going to work on their midot. It's just not going to happen. They don't think they have any midos to work on, and they don't think anything's wrong with them.
Yeah.
If they're miserable, you're to blame. So they're not going to, but the people who can work, okay, I did this in the classroom too. I said, kids, there's going to be bullies. There's a bully in every classroom. There's a bully in every school. There's nasty teachers. You're going to be insulted. You're going to have disappointments. You don't get into the school you want. Like the class is just going to have lots of what I call fiddles, frustrations, insults, disappointments, losses, and stresses every day. And you're going to think, this is a chance for me to be a champ.
Right.
This is a chance for me to be a champ. And I just did that. I'd pull their hair, pull their ear, go around, I said, I just irritated you. What are you going to say? Chance to be a champ. So that creates a distance instead of the automatic response of hitting back.
Right.
So it's, oh, this is a chance for me to work on my midot.
Right.
Okay. So this gets into something another thing I did with my kids. I explained to my kids very early. Okay, now a 3-year-old will hop this.
Okay.
Okay, I showed them a picture of the brain.
Okay.
And I tell them, I touch the back of their head and I said, back there is your baby brain. In scientific terms, that's mamish the reptilian brain.
Right.
So if I punch you, what do you want to do?
Punch you back.
Exactly. I spit on you, you want to spit back. You never spit on anybody, but if I spit on you, you'll want, okay, that's what I call the baby brain, because I don't want to call it the reptilian brain. That scares kids.
Right.
Okay. So that's the baby brain. And then I touch up here and I say, and that's your smart brain. That's your prefrontal cortex.
Right.
Your smart brain. Now there's a constant war.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd say, oh, there's a delicious rugelach somebody brought me for Purim.
Right.
I see the rugelach. My baby brain says, the candy, the chocolate. My baby brain says,
eat it.
Eat it. Right.
Yeah.
My smart brain says,
you're not gonna feel so good afterward, as sugar probably has other chemicals
right,
in
I'm
it.
gonna have all these chemicals. The sugar is gonna, sugar destroys your joints. Sugar makes your skin wrinkle.
I didn't
Sugar
even know that.
cancer lives off of sugar. So
That's true.
we want to reduce the amount of sugar. And there's sugar like in everything because the poisoners want it. Okay, so you say, I tell the parents first, you say, oh my goodness, oh, all that candy coming in on Purim. Oh, it looks so great. And all that chocolate. Who doesn't love chocolate? Okay.
Right.
And you say, my baby brain says, eat it. Okay. And my smart brain says, I don't really need this.
Right.
Okay. And it really isn't healthy. It'll be wonderful for 5 seconds or whatever it's in my mouth. And then I'll have a stomach ache. Okay. But see, the prefrontal cortex thinks about the future. The baby brain is immediate.
Now, today, right now.
Today. Yes. I tell them go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to go up from here to here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Count. Also, when you're out shopping and the kid says, buy it, and your baby brain says, yeah, then go 5, 8, 2, going up. Right. So I taught my kids all these techniques. I remember when putting one of my kids to sleep, and I used to massage their feet at night to get them to sleep, do a little reflexology with oil on okay. And all my kids have ADHD, so when I needed to get them to stay, I'd say, whoever's in bed first gets the massage first. They jump into
Okay.
bed. You see, I just want everything to be with fun and joy and loving.
Right.
No punishments and no coercion. So once I was maybe it was 6 or 7 year old and I was massaging his feet, I'd massage them and tell them about their amazing victories, how wonderful they are, and emphasize the good things in them. You brought me a tissue when I had I needed for my nose, and you said a bracha so nicely, and you helped your brother, and you didn't hit your brother as much as you wanted to.
Right.
You could even lie. Okay. So I tell them the good things, and I kept notebooks for them. And all of a sudden, I heard one of them say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I said, what happened? He said, I forgot to brush my teeth.
Ah.
And he said, I went up. So it was so in all these ideas, chance to be a champ, go up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, this is a lifelong struggle between our smart brain and our baby brain.
But
You
this is
have your
also
struggles.
good. Yeah, for sure. And this is also good for women who, or even men who are stuck in these abusive situations, for them
Right.
to self-regulate.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So I trained them. I said, you're going to get insulted, especially ADHD kids. They get, the teachers insult them and they get sent out of class and the kids bully them. And it's hard.
Yes.
And sometimes they get criticized by various, emotionally underdeveloped relatives. Okay. Non-nurturing people. I said, that's what's going to happen. But because I taught them to observe and not engage, and to stand back, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right. It gives us
Okay.
space. It gives,
Right.
yes. Hmm.
So when kids are being difficult, and the more self-regulated I am, the more embarrassed other people are going to be unregulated. So if you're with a explosive spouse, but you're not exploding, and you're saying, well, I don't explode, I don't get angry because I'm the queen of solutions. Then the kids by themselves, because you don't want to schmutzify a parent. You don't want to say anything negative because that'll backfire.
Yeah.
Um, and if that parent is watching things that are inappropriate or smoking or whatever, how many kids are smoking these days?
Yeah.
I
A lot.
mean,
Vaping. They do vaping. Vaping is very popular. I know.
I sent two of my ADHD kids to a school for ADHD kids. And at the end there was a like a graduation party, and they came back and they said, oh, everybody was drinking and smoking. They were
Right.
like 14 and 15, 16, whatever. And I said, well, did you do that? And they said, no, that wouldn't be a victory.
Right. That's
So
amazing.
I started at 3, 4, 5, writing down, talking about victories all day long. What's our victory? Which victory are we doing? There's 39 victories in this book, okay, that you can talk about, and the kids can choose which victory they're having, like patience,
Right.
uh, benefit of the doubt, accepting Hashem's will, trusting Hashem, um, finding solutions, all the 39 ideas.
Right. I
So,
really like that because focusing on your victories. I mean, at any age, focusing on your victories is really, really important. It really is.
okay, so I keep every day to this day, I have a victory. I have a little notebook. This is my thanks on this side, gratitude. Um, Nisim, this is my a tea bag. They have delicious teas here. So I put the little thing from the tea bag. I
Very nice.
love tea. Okay. So I have on one side my gratitude and the other side are my victories.
Beautiful.
And I did this for the kids from the time they were 3 years old.
Wow. Is there anything you can do for teenagers? I'm just asking because people have like kids across the board that might still be living in their homes with them.
Well, you missed you missed the train,
It's harder with
but
teenagers, I
it's
know.
very, very hard. Even with teenagers, you can say, I'm going to look at you like, "Why are you nuts?" If you say, I really want to eat that chocolate. It
Right.
looks so delicious, caramel in the center or marshmallow, whatever.
You know what we love
Okay,
in our house. Yes,
that's
that's
right.
right.
Okay,
Yes.
my baby brain is saying, "Eat it,
Yes.
eat it." And I say, and my baby brain is screaming, "Eat it, eat it."
Yep.
And my smart brain is saying, "No, I'm going to resist." There's actually even a part of the brain, like in the back of your forehead, the mid,
Yes.
there's a place called the mid anterior cingulate cortex. Every time you do an act of self-discipline, self-control, that you're up here instead of down there, you didn't buy it, you didn't hit it, you didn't talk back, you didn't kick it, okay? The more disciplined you are, the more this part of the brain grows bigger.
Amazing.
It's
Wow.
very tiny in obese people. It's
Really?
it's large in athletes and disciplined people.
Isn't that interesting? Wow, I never knew that. Wow. Okay.
Nobody knows about this. Mid anterior cingulate cortex.
Okay.
So when we are self-discipline is actually the basis for self-respect. If we're looking for our sense of self-respect or self-worth outside of ourselves, and I know that Hashem put me in abusive situations because I was such a codependent and so desperate for love and approval and validation from outside myself that Hashem had to put me in these situations so I would say, no more. I get my sense of self-worth from Hashem and from, I'll show you, I have, this is one shoebox full of my little notebooks
Oh, like the
over
one that
the
you just
last,
showed me. Yes.
after the last few years.
Wow.
Okay. I take my mental health very seriously.
As you should. Yes.
We should.
Yes.
Okay. So also my kids, each one had whatever you wanted to work on, like getting up on time or going to sleep on time. They had their own um, uh, um, little bottle where they could put their points
Mm-hmm.
that they were working on changing some META to strengthen that part of the brain. I
Okay.
don't want them vaping. I don't want that. None of them ever smoked or took drugs or did any of that because I trained them from the age of 3, 4, 5 that they have a choice.
That was smart. That was really, really smart. But I don't
You
think
have to start very young.
it's true. No, I was gonna say it is true. You have to start very young, but like I don't want anybody to
Yeah.
feel like they have to give a hope now, you know?
No,
So
but you talk about yourself. That you
yes,
talk to me. You
yes,
came home and you said, "There's nothing to eat."
right,
Okay. And I felt hurt. I did. I felt hurt. And I wanted to argue and defend,
right,
okay, and attack you back. The house is full of food. Hello? Go
right.
make yourself something. Okay. But I didn't. I went up to my smart brain and I said, "I'm going to tell you, you could make yourself something to eat or
Right,
whatever it is. It is. Okay.
right,
Because the kids, they don't have, they're full of disappointments and frustrations and whatever. And you want to teach them to find solutions.
right. That is a good way. Yes, thank you. I think we have like literally time for just one last quick question. And I know we were talking about this, you know, I know it's easier to no, I'm going to rephrase it. I know that when you get out of relationships like this, we could have the post, what did you say? Call it post divorce abuse?
Post-divorce abuse.
Abuse, right. But you know, I want to ask you, like, how does a woman start over again after she has left an abusive relationship? Because there will be people listening who, like, it's already like they're already out. They're not in anymore, you
Okay.
know? So she might have spent years feeling worthless, voiceless, and undervalued. And living in an abusive relationship might be all she knows. There
That's
is a
right.
right. And there's a comfort in being in a place or in a state of mind that is familiar, like we were saying before.
Right.
and we tend to rush back into the familiar. However, once a woman is out of an abusive home, away from her abuser, or she has a second chance on living a good, fulfilling life with people who truly love and care about her. But she needs to be ready and prepared to receive this love, which can be really challenging after years of abuse. So
You learn to love yourself. You learn to love yourself a lot. From the moment you get up in the morning, you learn to say, I am exactly who Hashem wants me to be. I have a Dayenu prayer. We have this really weird song at Pesach time where we say Dayenu.
yes,
Like if you took us out of Mitzrayim, but you didn't give us the man and you didn't drown the Egyptians, or you brought us to Har Sinai and you didn't give us the Torah, we keep saying Dayenu, Dayenu.
right. Yes.
That's very strange. But I realize that if you say Dayenu, whatever I have at this present instant is exactly what Hashem wants me to have. I have all the friends and all the love and all the appreciation Hashem wants me to have, and it could be zero.
Okay. For some people, it
And
is. Yeah.
all right, and I make peace with that. Then I'm in alignment with Hashem's will. And then I create this tzinor. I create this place where I'm with Hashem. I can feel the abundance of love coming from Hashem. I didn't feel that at first. I was very, very bitter
Right.
about my situation. But I learned to say, Diane, Hashem, whatever you want me to have right now, it's fine. I'm with you. Okay, I have to get my love from you. That's why you put me in these abusive situations. So I would learn not to depend on anybody for anything, not love, appreciation, validation, support, nothing. I'm just going to get it all from you. And that's where my Dayenu prayer came from.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. And anybody who wants a Diana prayer, will include a link to my email in the show notes. So please feel free to email me and I will
And
send
please
it to you.
get the book, Get Raising Spiritual Champs. It's
Yes.
also in a children's version called Solution Champs
Okay.
in any bookstore.
And is it available on Amazon too, or no? It's in a Jewish book.
Solution Champs, yeah. Solution Champs and Raising Spiritual Champs.
Okay, on Amazon.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how my kids, Baruch Hashem, in all these very difficult situations, they're okay.
Thank
They're
God.
good people. They're good people who work on their middos, and they look at life as anything that happens is a chance to be a champ.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adahan, for joining us on American
Okay.
Step Rebbitzins.
Stay up here.
Yes, in the prefrontal cortex.
Right. You could just go 5 for it when you see, because Purim is a very difficult time for us.
I know. I'm with you.
Okay, so just go. Let the kids see you going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm choosing to go up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And in the merit of everything we learned in this class, may Hashem watch over all the Jewish people and give
Thank
enormous
you.
strength to the ideal
Amen.
soldiers, including Meir ben
Amen.
Livnat, Moriah or Bat Sandra,
Oh,
Michal ben Rachel, and Mor ben Linda. Thank you so much again.
thank you, darling. This was fun.
Thank
Try
you.
to have fun times. That's what we need. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cool, too.